Okay, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this new webinar, which is titled Effective and Efficient Management of IT as Various Tasks in Light of Good Practice. And this webinar is organized by us, the ITSM, and it is presented by our colleague from India, Mr. Shahul Hameed, and he will give you some introduction about himself and will give you some background about the product. If you have any questions during the presentation, please post them in the chat area on YouTube, and we will get your questions at the end of the presentation. And also, the webinar is recorded and will be available on YouTube after we finish. So I hope you will enjoy the presentation, and please, Shahul, please start.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. In the name of God, the most beneficial and the most graceful, we begin to talk with the great quote from our Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And before that, I just want to say that during this next 1 hour presentation, we will be focusing on the benefits of implementing controls in light of good practices such as ITIM. Our focus is on the IT service management, that is information technology service management. I title it that effective and efficient management of IT as grace task. And we will be seeing this interesting terminology that I coined as grace task and what it is about around the information technology service. So presenting this is I am Advocate N.S.M. Shahul Hameed, and my email address is given here on behalf of EA ITSM. What is the great quote that is coming from the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Take advantage of 5 before 5. Actually, this has got a lot of spiritual meaning, but it has got very wider impact on all walks of life. So that is the important thing. Therefore, I have taken also from the IT service management point of view also. So your youth before your aging, your health before your sickness, your wealth before your poverty, your free time before your busy time, your life before your death. We all know the meaning of what we say that. We have to be proactively prepared before we have to use effectively our youth before we get aging. Because even education, when we talk about education at the youth, is more beneficial than at the aging. Because a lot of people who studied much also can forget everything in the last age. Similarly, your health before your sickness, your wealth before your poverty, your free time before your busy time. That is the most interesting thing that everybody is, while we are during the lifetime, we enjoy. We think that we are enjoying. But in the last moment of our life, that is the busy time. That we should have, we will be thinking, worrying that we should have done that, we should have done that, and all these things. So you have to effectively consider using free time before your busy time. And similarly, your life before your death. So what is the purpose of our life? So this is what Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has given 1400 years ago, and but that is not only valid for the spiritual purpose for the humanity and for every walks of life. So let's just match it with our information technology world. Your youth before your aging. That means the new technology of the IT environment before it becomes old and outdated. And we have to take advantage of the effective quality assurance and usage during the warranty time and installation implementation phase of the IT environment. That means the health before your sickness and your wealth before your poverty. Similar to the health, the all the assets, the worth of the assets is the wealth. So we have to make intelligent use of resources. And your free time before your busy time, that means we have to be proactive and apply all preventive controls necessary than doing reactive things in response for any crisis management. And your life before your death, that we know that in the IT environment we talk about most likely the business continuity. What if that happens? What if that power is down? What if that critical person is not coming? So that is almost like death situation. So we have to reflect value to the investment and appropriately planned and tested business continuity. So that means we are learning a proactive preparations here than reactive. So now we start with the technical things, and we know that IT environment, it has got a lot of things like in there are like things that we need to align the IT with the business, maybe security issues, and we need to worry about keeping the IT running and managing the capacity of the IT, like whether it is not only hard disk, database things, applications, timing, and memory, all these things. And also there are government regulatory compliance, internal and external regulatory compliance also there. So organizations require a structured approach for managing these and other challenges. That is the reason why we are studying the standard practices called as good practices, or when you apply that to your organization, you become your best practices. So that is important point. So when we come to IT service management, let us understand overall that what is IT service management talks about, and then we will consider how we relate the new ideas to overall manage the IT. So ITSM simply stands for IT service management. It is how IT teams manage the end-to-end delivery of IT services and give the services to the customers as a value to them. This includes all the processes and activities to design, create, deliver, and support all IT services. Whether they ask for any laptop or any new applications or a printout, everything it has to be designed earlier, created, or and then delivered and support. So if we don't create, we buy it, and that is created there. So this is what we have to. For this, we need to turn the knowledge into action. So we need to get educated people, and we have to give them a good learning atmosphere and practicing, testing, and improving, so that we can get a better service to offer to our customers. So now we are just little bit talking in the market, and if you Google it, ITSM or ITIL, you get a lot of standards available. They are technically for each organization who are pioneering or maybe coming with new ideas. They give standards and give educational framework so that you get certification, you get qualified, and things like that. But we are not going to talk much in that. But what we should understand, what are these good practices is helping to IT service management. So if you talk about IT, so it is about leveraging a variety of framework to guide the IT management work. Whether we are using ITIL, so version 4 or 3, things like that, or DevOps or COVID, ITSM, there are a lot of things are there in the market. But what we need to emphasize to understand what these good practices are doing, they are giving two things. One is that how your performance of the IT services, whether it is profitable for your business, whether it is efficient or not, and are you conforming to the regulatory standards, to the practices expected by the organization. So that is the idea. So if you talk about COVID standard, it harmonizes other standards also. If you look at Google or ask the land person, they will talk about many standards like COVID standard, ITIL, ISO 27001, 27002. That if you are interested, that we can go to one particular standard and study about that, get certified, get become qualified, and apply that thing. But overall, IT environment, various aspects of the IT environment need this kind of knowledge for that. So that you keep it in mind, and little bit technically, if you understand that, So ITL infrastructure library, it focuses on practices of how you align the IT into business. And the latest version is ITIL 4. It has divided the complete IT service management into 34 practices that we will see in detail. And when you study that in detail, you can have that knowledge. But in this 1 hour, we will see how this is related to IT governance and IT management of IT services. And then DevOps is also a standard, good practice. And this is mainly focusing on the design of the application side. And actually, this is also part of the good practice that ITSM go for. But technically, deep driving, so they have different, and they will see that they will deal with the different aspects of that things. Most likely, the DevOps is more on the development side than the operation side, whereas the IT service management is more on the operation side. Also, can be just to see that. But we are now here to understand what is the ITSM process and then go for the required particular standards, good practices that we need to go for that. So, what is important? The most common benefits of IT service management, good practice. It is aligning IT teams with business. So, what is mean by aligning the priorities to be tracked and how the success to be communicated, how the value can be shown to the business team, and enabling cross department collaboration and how you are giving that atmosphere and bringing IT teams and development teams together, because IT service team and development teams, unless you buy everything from outsource, if it is in-source solutions, there will be IT development team, and they do the design and then test it and give it to operations. So how the IT service management align these things, coordinate these things, and give an efficient, effective deliverable to the customers. And how do you empower the IT teams to share knowledge among them and continuously improve them? And improving the request coordination. If there is a customer request for, be it for laptop, be it for a report, be it for something like desktop computer or hard disk more capacity or a network connectivity, all these things you need to, how do you do that request coordination? How every user can approach you and how quickly you can get it and how categorize that you can do it so that you can show some efficiency, all these things. You have to also say that whether the demand or the request is valid for the organization, whether it is cost effective, all these things you have to check that. And promoting customer centricity. So earlier, when the IT started, everything was that IT was like Godfather, and everybody will go to the IT manager and please them and request them, and if they give, they take it. If they don't give, they just keep quiet. But that modern world is not like that. It is customer centricity. IT team is working for the customers. The customer in the sense, not the, for any business organization. If there is an IT department, all other departments who are using the IT departments are the customers. So this is how like that. Not the outside walking on the road customer who is entering into the business to buy or sell, but they will be indirectly connected to the IT through the IT applications. So that is different. And so responding more quickly to major incidents and preventing future ones, and all of which decrease cost and lead to the better service. So this is the overall objective for the IT service management. So understanding this, what we should do from the ITIL based good practices, which is talking about 34 processes. We will not discuss each and every process in detail, because the entire study of ITIL good practices of this 34 is valid, qualified for your certification examination, and it will lead to at least 40 to 50 hours of training, effective training, which by which every process you will have to study with practice, diagrams, and explanation, questions, multiple choice, and all these things. That we can take a course and do that things. We can come back through your EA ITSM organization. You can contact that. There will be a lot of professionals offering such thing. You can also do some self studies. That is there. But here what we are doing is we are giving that taste of that, and how effectively, based on my 35 years of IT management experience, how effectively we can understand this approach, irrespective of what brand name they call it, for the good practices, whether it is ITIL or COVID or anything. We don't bother about that. What we need to bother is what are the critical processes that IT service management need, and how effectively we can handle them in order to win the the company that governing, that is the governance, and the regulatory things, that is the government and the regulatory authorities, and also the risk management aspects, and the technological advancement, and also the education that our team can have it. So the ITLS has categorized into three major departments. One is general management practices, and that is covering 14 practices of ITIL, and service management practices, which is the majority of the practices, which is 17, almost half of the 34, and this is applicable for all service specific practices. And technical management, they talk about the technology installation and all service management purposes. So these are the detailed 34 ITIL processes, total number in 34. But we know that we heard, maybe those who are working in the IT environment, we know that enterprise architecture, we may come across improvement, continuous improvement, information security, and IT and business relationship, supplier relationship, knowledge base, and how do we measure and reporting, organizational change, portfolio management, project management, all these things. But we will see in detail these things. So now what I am going to give you a different outlook of this IT service management in order to better understand, and so that you will be in a best practice, or at least to the good practice, understand very effectively, irrespective of the brand name called outside. So information technology service management, this screen is the most important that of this presentation. So effective and efficient management of IT as grace task in light of good practices. What is the grace task? GRACE. They stand for governance of IT. That means the board outside, the board of directors view on the IT management. How do they think? How do they see the IT department? So that is the most important thing. So that governance of IT and risk management. It is corporate wide. There are a lot of things like financial risk, credit risk, and operational risk. Operation, the most majority part of the operational risk is coming from IT. Why? The entire company's organization's operations are depending on IT. So therefore, the IT risk is major share of the operational risk of the corporate. So therefore, we need to have a good emphasis on risk management. It also covers major operational risk of the IT environment, and also the information security aspects of that, and business continuity or disaster recovery aspects of that. All come as part of the risk management. Then naturally advancement in tools and techniques. Day by day, it is the technology is changing. So that also we have to focus on that. Based on that, we need to develop also. And complaints to internal and external regulations. That is also not only the company's compliance by policies and product procedures, and it is also from the external bodies like government. Like if you are working in a banking IT department of a banking environment, the banks have a regulatory compliance that they have to make, and major share of that is coming from IT operational risk. Also, all these things like Basel and all these things has to be taken care. And excellence of operations and service. By working on the governance, risk management, advancement in tools and techniques, and compliance to internal and external regulation, you will also have a side effect that you will get an excellence ideas of operations and service management of IT. So that is the idea that you have to think. And this I called as grace task because of my 35 years of IT management. I have come across all these fields, So I have called it. If you like it, you keep it. If you don't like it, you can call it whatever name or keep it in your mind. But what is important, you cannot escape from governance of IT, from risk management part, from advancement in tools and technology, techniques, and compliance part, and excellence in operations. So we know that if you understand governance, risk, advancement, compliance, and excellence, your IT service management will be more perfect. And you have my email ID. If there is any query in future, you can also feel free to contact me. Even my write-ups I can give on any part of my presentation, whether it is detailed or summary level. Okay. So the same thing, just I explained that it is about leveraging more appropriate, globally accepted. See why I make this grace task? Because when you talk about governance, you Google it, you get a very good standard for governance of IT. And you Google it to risk management, you get standard for that one. And then advancement in programs, very good ideas, compliance management and all these things. So that is the important part you have to do it. So governance of IT enabling corporate strategic management oversight. So that's the idea. Being within the IT department, you have someone or some team responsible to talk to the board of directors that what IT is about, what are the projects initiated, how it is going on, what is the progress. So all these things, they have approval authority taking from board to communicate internal to the IT management through the chief information officer, CIO. So under CIO, there can be a governance department, risk management, advancement programs like that. You can think about that also. Or it can be like in two or three departments having responsibilities to share like that. Risk management is always like proactive preparation to accept changes and optimize growth. And advancement is strategic moves ahead. Always think about, look ahead. And compliance management is how your organization can be trustworthy in front of the government, in front of the public, in front of the board of directors, all stakeholders. And you, individual employee, also work with ethics. That is the more important part of the education. And of course, excellence, or you call it as education, and then educate yourself, get operational excellence. So that is acquire knowledge of best practices and enhance your skills by practicing it, and then autograph your work with excellence. So if you have done something completely in taking the reading the good practice, understanding it by practicing it, bringing it as a best practice of that industry. So that is your autograph, your company's autograph. So that is very important thing. That's all. But now we are going to little bit of detail of the flavors that I covered in the presentation, like what is governance of IT, little more detail. So it is the standard framework, is a roadmap to good IT governance. So for IT governance, you can take the COVID framework from the dashboard of the international or Google kind of things. Organizations have like that. It is talking about effective governance over information and technology. It also includes risk management, resource management, and performance measurement. So there is also international standard organizations standard, that is 38500. So that is talking about information technology governance. Either you go for 38500 or COVID standard, but one and the same, but differently they give detailed explanation of that. They each body have their examination to give you certification also. But most popular is COVID control objectives also. Next one is risk management. We can also take it as part of the risk management, the information security, as well as the business continuity. In the risk management is the process of identifying, assessing, and controlling threats to an organization or its capital and earnings. So how do you mitigate the risk? How do you reduce the risk? Or how are you going to accept the risk? So these are the questions that the risk management aspects is giving you the focus. These risks stem from a variety of sources, including it can be a financial uncertainties, legal liabilities, technology issues, which is coming part of your IT, and strategic management, errors, and accidents and natural disasters. It will also affect your IT systems. and peoples. So you have to identify, analyze, prioritize, respond to that as aspect, and then monitor and control effectively. So these are the standard ISO standard like 31000 for risk management. And also for business continuity, 22301, and information security, there is 27001 ISO certificate. For example, I am my qualification, if you see that, I am also ISO 27001 LA. That means ISO 27001 lead auditor, which means that qualified person can visit your organization and to audit, make audit and confirm whether your company's information security is managed in a good practice in according to the ISO standard, like that. So actually the risk management is having a wider area. We talked about the risk awareness by senior corporate officers and clear understanding of the enterprise appetite for risk, and you have to understand the compliance requirements, and then you have to embed that the risk management into the processes, individual items processes. If there is a dual control needed, checker maker, so that is part of the risk. If there is somebody designing and without testing it cannot be operated, so that is the risk coverage. And there is a business continuity, policies and procedure should be tested. All these things should be coming. So this is also, it is coming from the governance and policies, and you have to identify the risk, and then control environment should be there. You have to keep on monitoring that control, and quantification, measurement, risk design, mark making, and then you have to also incentivizing behaviors. If there is a good thing, and you have to give a reward, and so you have to bring a good communications and risk culture. That is very important. So information security is more important in the IT. So the safeguard of your people, data, and infrastructure is very, very important part. So you have to protect everything, safeguard of your entire organization with integrated security and compliance should be there, and identify solutions built to work across platforms and cloud environments. Maybe most of the now in the modern age, most of your applications are in the cloud. So it has to work properly across all platforms. Same application, the end user should see that thing, whether it is internal or coming going from cloud or from mobile applications. And simplify the complexities. You have to give the priorities. What is the right from the risk point of view also, and catch what others miss. So you have to leading by understanding the things, going by automation, and you have to get the expertise help. And whenever you threats, identify threats, and you have to detect it, and you have to make also preventive controls for the future. You have to give a response, effective response. It should be, and then grow your future with the peace of mind that comes with the comprehensive security solution. You are free to grow. This is what I am saying also, that so take use of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's hadith. Take use of your free time before the busy time. And then technology advancement. It is evolving rapidly. Like you can say that artificial intelligence has come now, more automated customer services, cloud computing is come. We know that it's long time now. Whether your company's IT can be taken to the cloud computing or not, whether there is any security issues or not, business continuity can be shifted there or not, all these things to be studied, because every organization is not the same in size or in the risk appetite, all these things. You have to take care of that. You have to involve the board level discussion and monitoring and predicting. So there are systems, new systems available, which can predict and detect errors in program, so that it can help that if you code your programs, it can predict that errors and detect errors, so that your source code will be better and quality.
Yes, yes. Can you go back to the advancement slide? The first slide of advancement.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Advancement slide.
Yes, please.